Oh,
Well, hello.
well, hello.
Oh, there it is. Let me change my hat. Is anybody on yet?
I doubt it. I don't know. I keep my phone on a different thing
My
to make
mom
the
might be
stream
on.
better.
Might be
I have to put everything on airplane mode.
on.
Leslie Nielsen
That's a
turns
good
up and
point.
everything. That's such a bad dad joke.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hey, some cool comments on the last episode. I wanted to see what I wore the last time around. I'm like, don't wear the same thing again, you dork. It's the end of the year episode.
Oh yeah,
And I saw some cool comments. We were like, hey, I like these episodes where you guys just chit chat. I'm like, all right, nice.
I need to
Glad
figure a
somebody
way to
enjoys it.
market them better.
You know what? I think it's a matter of it just builds steam over time. But the top 10 lists, they're 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 hits. People love lists.
They do love
And
lists.
a lot of times when we do our lists, it is to talk about a bunch of stuff like that, just keep it organized. Otherwise, we'd go for a half hour on every
Oh
topic.
god, yeah, no, completely. Right, I'm just going to whack the kettle on. Oh, we got Mr. Trunks.
Meat Trunks, what's up? What's up?
I don't know why I drop comments in the comments when I can talk. It's really.
Can't really stay. Oh, no problem.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
How long we got you for?
Yeah, this is a fun one. Someone asked me recently. It was I was on Adam Chapman's podcast,
Yeah.
Comic Shenanigans, and he asked me what my favorite episode of the year was to record, or thinking that it would, like, the obvious answer would be like, oh, when we had Jim Shooter or Jeff Johns or something like that. But honestly, it's some of the ones we do together, where we're planning for a top 10, like a top 10 maxi series list, or end of the year list. Like, those are my favorite. I look forward to those the most.
Yeah.
Because it also is like connected to things that you were reading during that time, to try to like
have very high fidelity.
Yes, very much. Yeah, exactly. But it's always like, I don't want to pick something Dave might pick, and if we both really, really like something, I'll leave that to him. Hopefully he'll pick that and he'll be able to talk about it in greater detail. Because there's times where it's like Civil War, we could both pick it, but
Yeah.
you would be able to talk a lot more in depth about certain things. It's like, let you do that.
That's why my
But what can I
Superman
pick?
choices are
Yeah.
normally right at the end, because I try and see if
Yeah.
are you going to pick this Superman story or not? You're not. Okay, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same thing I feel with like a Peter David story, or like Incredible Hulk. It's like, I could pick it, but it's better that you pick it, because you'll be able to, and then we'll both go back and forth about the stuff that we like about it.
Yeah.
Well, Meat Trunks, have a good looking for it. Yes. Omega Bread, Happy New Year. So far, so good. 2 days in, I'm enjoying 2025. I feel like I'm already behind on my reading, but
Yeah.
it's all good.
Have you read anything? Or are you saving
Yeah, I've
anything?
been reading like crazy.
Have you?
I've been reading. So I ended the year. The last thing I read was Spider-Man: Return of the Sinister Six Epic Collection.
Is that
I
the
just read
Eric
it off.
Larson while he was
Yeah,
on Amazing?
yeah, the
Right.
Eric Larson stuff. The pretty much the core of his run. I know he was on it a few issues before, but this
Yeah.
is when, the stuff
With
that people remember
Granny.
him for,
Yeah.
up to issue 350. So I'm trying to read and get ahead of episodes if I can, just so that I got stuff to be able to like kind of plan for, so that if it comes up, it's like, okay, I'm good for that now.
Yeah. We'll have a catch up on what we think we might cover. I've thought of some more ideas as well. Excuse me.
Great.
That we
I
could.
have a couple.
Cool. Excellent. We'll mash them up and see what we've got.
And if viewers or listeners have some for us to like try to tackle stuff that they'd be interested in us giving a shot to, send us suggestions, because oftentimes we use them and they become really cool episodes and stuff that we'll go back to and make a part two for. So more than happy to take on suggestions from people who are actually listening to this, right? We're not just listening to ourselves. Marvel Man 901, hello, hello. Meat Trunks, hello, hello. You were the first one here, of course. Omega Bread. Well, we hope you can hang out for a good portion, Meat Trunks. Yes, this is going to be our first episode of the year, but the wrap up of last year. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. That's good.
How about you? Have you been reading?
Me? Yeah, I've gone back to the 80s. So aside from after reading a load of non-Big Two stuff, I've gone about as mainstream Big Two as you can get, but 80s.
Yeah.
So I've just read a Batman story pre-Crisis that I've never read before.
Oh, nice. I've been reading. I'm almost halfway. Speaking of post-Crisis and Batman, I was reading some of the Marvel DC Omni. And a lot of that stuff, like up until the Teen Titans crossover with the X-Men. I think everything prior to that was pre-Crisis. Very interesting comic book landscape.
Yeah.
The pre-Crisis world. It's fun.
It is. Well, that was the weird thing about it, the Batman stuff. I will go into it when I drop it, because it's a crossover. It's for a crossover entry. So it introduces two pretty major characters. It's a lot of the stuff Bruce is struggling with is like it's the same stuff he's been struggling with in like every decade.
It's the same.
Oh, I'm getting really angry for some reason. I don't know why. Why is that? Must be the stress of it. But I should be better than this. Look, hang on, Bruce. You've had this conversation. Every version of you goes through this little crisis. But it feels, no pun. Internet pun. But it's funny because I'm just reading it with. I guess in some ways they're probably making it feel like that's the first time it's happened. But then I'm reading a pre-crisis story. I haven't read all that other stuff going, we've done this before. You know? It's like hearing the original song last.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I find that a lot. That's why people, sometimes I ask myself, it's like, okay, how much are you going to live in the past when it comes to what you're reading? And how much are you going to ignore what's happening now? But a lot of times what's occurring is just redone work. Like it's nothing really fresh. It's just, how can we lead up to that same exact moment and reveal slightly differently and then put everything back to normal so that nothing is disturbed? And it's just kind of been done before, you know? Yeah. So you kind of want to, for me, I like reading the inception of certain ideas, even if they're not quite as fleshed out or as, you know, in a 12-issue series that we get now. Sometimes a 3-issue Spider-Man story, it's just like, man, that was huge. That'll change the character forever. And that's the time it happened. That's it. Like, that's the time.
Without spoiling too much of this story, right? The funny thing about it is it reminded me of like one of the later episodes of Breaking Bad. You have all this slow build-up in Breaking Bad. And then it seems like in the last episode or 2 episodes, it suddenly goes, whoa! Like, time moves really
fast. What's the story? Would you mind would you mind sharing it, or is it for a list?
We'll do it on a pre-episode ramble. It's the first appearance of Jason Todd and Killer Croc.
Okay. The very first appearance of Jason Todd, not the post, right? You said pre-crisis when he has red hair, Jason Todd.
Oh, I didn't know it was red. I wasn't sure what color it was because of colorblindness. You're right.
That's crazy.
Colorblindness really turns you on, doesn't it?
I was in the middle of swallowing, which doesn't help the double entendre that you're going for there. Anyways, Omega Bread is here. Reed reads. Happy New Year. We're just missing the BC.
I think he's asleep. He'll be up in an hour.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, BC. We had to do this one a little bit early. God bless you.
Sorry, I've got to get up at 5:30.
This episode. Yeah, got it. All right, let's get started then.
I'm just going to turn you down so I didn't do sound check. Bear with me. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We're good?
Yeah. Are you?
Yes, just making sure the curtains aren't a distraction.
Cool.
I'm the only distraction right now. One second.
Oh, I can see the last god behind you. Like, I keep meaning to get that book.
Yeah, you need to get it. I think they're reprinting it.
Are they? Okay.
Cool. I think so. Cool. Yeah, I think they're making sure it stays out there. All right, here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1, and... Welcome back, everybody, to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast. We are your Omniverse Comics Guide guys. I'm Eric. That's my pal Dave. Dave.
Hi.
Happy New Year, pal. How are you?
I'm in 3D, dude. I'm in 3D. That's how happy I am.
So everything's just coming at you.
Look, it's real. I'm real. Whoa, look at that. It's like I'm an actual person.
How have your holidays been, pal?
Yeah, they've been pretty good, thanks, dude. Kind of quiet. Lots of geekery, lots of comic reading. That's not me saying it because we're on this show. It's literally how it's been. Catching up with friends, that a little bit too, that kind of thing, and hanging out with my sproglets. And my youngest really did like her Robin.
Nice. I was gonna ask, how did she like the Robin?
She loved the Robin. She got two, so we ended up doing a little face off. Well, a booty off.
Nice. What did you learn during Christmas break? I learned how to twerk with Robin and my daddy. Okay.
That's when I get the call from the school every Christmas. How about you, man? What did you get up
to? Pretty quiet. Same thing as you. Visited some friends, some family. Nothing too crazy. Caught up on some movies that I watch yearly during Christmas. Stuff that's just like that seasonal watch. Die Hard, Home Alone, Godfather, stuff like that. Yeah, Lord of the Rings trilogy, and read a lot of comics.
Yeah.
Some in preparation for perhaps it could have been for this episode. Maybe it didn't make it, but I was like, man, I'm just reading so many issues so quick that this is the dream of just being at home with my dog sleeping on my lap.
Oh, imagine living like that, man.
Warm drink. Oh, these past 2 weeks have been pretty good for the most part, but no complaints. I'm excited. This is the episode that I kind of prep for all year round because the first time we did it, I completely botched my preparation for it.
Did you?
You remember? I didn't have a list.
Oh, it was
that
just
was
stuff you
based
read
on the calendar year per se. Right? It was just stuff I read in the calendar year, but not things that were released. So now I purposely prep and say, okay, make sure you've got at least 20 things to pick throughout that came out within the year, so you can talk about it at the end of the year. We're here. Ready.
That's it. For anyone who's not watched it before, it's the we pick our 10 favorite collected edition releases. So it's not single issues, it's collected editions. So, although I have read one single issue this year, no, I haven't. No, have I? Yeah, that came out in 2024, but the book's out next year. So there's a part of me going, shall I include? Oh, I can't. Damn it!
I like the rules that we can kind of stick by because it's easy to pick single issues that have come out within the year, right?
Yeah.
So
I saw a list that was a mix of trades and singles, and it just confused me because I'm like, well, how do you measure a part of a story to a full story? Like, what?
That's true. Very true. So to be more specific, it could be even omnis that have been reprinted, that have been released in the calendar year, things for the very first time that could be 50 years old, right? We got it in some type of new format, or stuff that has been released for the very first time, like a modern series could fall into that. So do you have a mix? I have a pretty good mix.
I have a decent mix, yes, I think.
Okay. Anything you got for a mailbag this week?
No, man, my mailbag is empty. How was yours? How's your sack?
Well, my mailbag, I actually got a mailbag to share with everybody this week. What? Woo! I said, let me share it for the first episode of the year. I got it a few weeks ago, admittedly, but I wanted to share it on this episode for a little New Year's somewhat celebration. So I'm always wearing a hat. I started off this time with it backwards. So my mailbag comes from, can you see that? Ghost Machine. Dude. Very, very cool.
Nice.
Very, very cool. So the kind folks at Ghost Machine, after our interviews with the gentlemen from Rook, Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch, forgetting all the names of the people who...
It's Redcoat.
Right? Redcoat, that's right. And if you're interested in Redcoat and want to hear a little bit more about it, you can listen to our archive episodes of Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch with me and Dave. So they sent me this hat, and then, surprisingly, I didn't expect this at all, sent me a deluxe edition of Geiger.
That's beautiful.
Very, very nice. Signed. Let me see. I think there's a signature inside and a little sketch from Jeff Johns.
What did he draw it?
he put a little skeleton of what is supposed to be like Geiger's
Oh yeah, yeah.
head. A little sketch
Ah.
there. And then it's very cool. #1 variant copy
Oh,
of
that's a nice cover as well.
Colts.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that
very, very
foil?
cool. That's a foil, yeah, foil cover. A variant of Geiger, #1 from I think the first run. #1 of Hyde Street,
Ooh.
all signed by Jeff, which is like, wow, it's crazy. And then there's the one shot of Ghost Machine that came out earlier in the
Oh,
year.
nice.
And then as well, he sent
As
me
well?
trades of
What?
Junkyard Joe and Geiger, which I'll likely share with people. So
Oh,
very, very kind of everyone at Ghost Machine. A big shout out to Jeff Johns. Big shout out to
cat.
Ryan Hitch, and Kat Kleiner, who really helped us. She really helped set up so much in our what's the word, correspondence with her.
Yeah.
She was great to work with. So looking forward to hopefully more. Nothing's booked yet interview wise for 2025, but that just means anything can happen.
Yeah.
So
It's open. Open
it's
season.
open. So thank you to Ghost Machine, Kat, Jeff. Back to my hat that I had on before. That one fits me a little funny right now. Dave,
Yes.
I know I wear hats like wigs. I have a perfectly fine head of hair, but I always keep a hat on. My wife and my mom get mad at me. Anyways, shall we begin the
We can
countdown?
begin. Mm-hmm.
Would you like to go first?
It's
My
your
turn?
year to go first.
Okay. I have all the books I've actually read by my side.
Cool.
But there's one, my first pick, I don't have with me because I put it away, and it's a beast of a book.
Wow.
I should have looked up when the book finished its run, and I think it was 2021 pandemic time is when the book put out its final issue.
Mm-hmm.
But my number 10 pick for 2024 of books released, collected editions, is Deadly Class Compendium. I have never read Deadly Class prior to. You gave the first 16 issues a 5-star review,
I
which you don't
did.
hand out. You don't hand that out very easily. And you are also not a Rick Remender apologist like I can tend to be. I really like Rick Remender, even sometimes when his books aren't the best. I'm like, yeah, but it's got. And so that really made me want to check out this book.
Cool.
And you know how we are with. Sorry, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, and I was saying cool. I mean, I was curious to see if it held up throughout, because obviously you've read 4 times more than me.
I'll let you decide how you feel about it, but I read it in about a week and
Wow.
a bit, which is like 56 issues worth. There's a lot going on. The thing with books like that is it keeps you at the edge of your seat because anything can happen. And the first 16 issues, so the main character and Rick Remender by chance we share the same birthday.
Oh.
So it starts off saying today's my birthday, February 6th, and you know my dream is to kill Ronald Reagan. Like that's the main character's dream in the book, right? So it takes you to this angsty place of indie rock music, alternative rock music. And for those who have or haven't read it, the main gist of the story is a bunch of either down on their luck kids or kids that come from crime dynasty families, basically, are brought to this secret school, almost like a school for potential John Wicks, to become assassins, a school for assassins, and basically training a bunch of kids to become sociopaths. And it's I think in a lot of ways, I could be wrong, but I feel like Rick Remender, his work, especially his creator-owned stuff, feels like they're things he's learned about himself through therapy. He finds a way to put it into story form.
I think, sometimes in his notes, it's either outright said or implied that there's, it's all like, this is almost like it is therapy in itself as well.
Yeah, which I tend to enjoy in some of his work, not always, but I tend to like that. And in this one, because it is a story that takes place starting in the 80s and moves through the 90s and all the different things culturally that change, that continues to happen throughout the book. A lot of surprises, things you don't expect. Main characters that, do they exit stage left? Don't they exit stage left? You never know. So it keeps you keeps you there,
Uh-huh.
and it becomes ridiculous, and that popcorn, um, what's the word, blockbuster style action is always happening, but it comes with a purpose and with a consequence. So very, very good book. Give it a shot. There's various ways that you can read it digitally, the smaller trades, the deluxe editions. I don't know how easy deluxe editions are to find, or the compendium is often on sale, and it's a
Yeah.
worthy read through. It's a worthy read of a run.
There's normally with those deluxes, so it's worth looking them up, and I think they are trying to keep them in stock for people. Excuse me, but they sometimes, like, one book is harder to find, so just check first before you order book one in the in the hope of getting the whole set when they might not be that easy to get. But yeah, I mean, the compendium's a really good way to go because it is the whole lot. I can't believe they can get the whole lot in one, because that's 4 sizable deluxes.
Yeah, it's well worth the money, because they've got a couple of other compendiums that are less than half that issue count, going for the same price. Which, I mean, to each his own, but I don't really understand how a 24 issue series is priced at the same as this,
Because what's this,
which
48?
is like 7. Say that again.
Was it 48 issues?
Which one?
A Deadly Class.
56.
56. Oh wow.
And it includes the
Free comic
one
book
shot.
day one shot. Yeah.
Yeah, so like almost 57 issues, and then you've got some that are 24, 26 issue compendiums that are $80. This is worth the price for the page count and for the quality of story and also the consistency of look, because it's Wes Craig just as much as it's Rick Remender's work.
Yes.
Right.
And he really
lot of
riffs on
credit
that
goes-
80s style in that, at least that one section, because it's
Yes.
reminiscent of David Mazzucchelli in some of it, who was the artist on Daredevil Born Again. There are some...
Yep.
The vibe of it is really close to that. So you can see the kind of style he's going for. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool book, and I think it'll really speak to... There's a absurd violence to it. It's like an absurdity.
Yeah.
But there's also that fandom. These assassins are also like, they got fandom to them, Dungeons and Dragons and comic book shops and music shops, like all
Yeah.
of that sort of element is mixed into the fabric of these characters. So I think it speaks to guys like us. Check it out. Deadly Class.
Excellent start. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, dude. All right, my 10th favorite of last year. I don't have it. I had it in digital. I read it in digital, so I don't have it physically here to wave around. But it's Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. It's a 6-issue series by Patrick Horvath. It's 152-page trade paperback from IDW Publishing. Came out in September, and it's been described, or it's described on the blurb, I think, as Dexter meets Richard Scarry's Busy Town. I don't remember having Richard Scarry's Busy Town books when I was a kid, so that reference was kind of lost on me. But it's a very cutesy book. So it's about Samantha Strong, who is a bear. She's a lovely bear, works in a very small village community, and she's a serial killer. And the way every so often she treats herself by going into the city and killing someone, except someone starts murdering someone in her town, and her worry is that she's going to be suspect number one. But all these people are little cute animals. They're little cute animals. So the Richard Scarry reference, I did look at the artwork for Richard Scarry's Busy Town, and the art in Beneath the Trees is considerably better than that. It's beautiful artwork. Like if it wasn't for all the murders and the gutted animals, you could probably buy that for your kid, and it would be just the finest looking book. But there's a lot of bloodshed in this thing. There was a part of me when I was reading it wondering, would this work if you did it with just people? Would it be as good a story? Does it work better because it's cutesy? So it's got that kind of juxtaposition to it. But does that matter? Like, isn't that the point? Because that's the disarming nature of it. Yeah, like with Kaiju Max, because this actually was a recommendation from one of the first. Well, it was the first collector's item special I did this year, which was with Xander Cannon, who wrote and drew Kaiju Max, and that was one of his 5. It was a current read for him at the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and he went like, find it hard to believe, I know, but it's a cutesy thing that's quite warped and bloody. A bit like his own series, But I had a read of it and just it's really cool. It's just it feels so different and it feels like a warm fireside little book, you know, but it's riddled with murder. So that's my first choice. Well, not my first choice. That's my 10th favorite book of the year, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees by Patrick Horvath. If you like murder and you like cuddlies, then go for it. Not furries, cuddlies. Different.
Nice. You see, that's the best part about these top 10s or these top 20s is that we never know what we might include. I did not expect that, but
No.
at the same time, I'm not surprised because you do like your cutesy,
I like
very
weird
violent
shit.
All right, my number 9. I could have picked this similar style book last year, and coincidentally, it makes the list again. Somewhat different run. So my number 9 is a Marvel comic. It's, I think, collecting, let's see here, from the 2020 series of Spider-Woman.
Ah.
So this is kind of a compendium. It collects all 21 issues of the run from Carla Pacheco and Perry Perez. Again, a run that surprises me because I'm not a expert on Spider-Woman. I enjoyed the Dennis Hopeless run that has a similar collected edition format for that series that this one has, but they're very different books. They don't try to. Carla Pacheco goes more into the history of the character, getting a lot more into the spy aspect of it, Wundagore Mountain, calling back certain familial relationships coming back into play. So it's a nice departure from Dennis Hopeless, and that's not because the Dennis Hopeless run wasn't great. It's unique. Both of these stand alone in their uniqueness, but the Carla Pacheco and Perry Perez team throughout the book is also a very nice thing to see. So if you're a fan of somewhat Marvel era comics, we got some stuff here that you can look into that came out in 2024. Mm-hmm. The whole collection I think is very worthwhile to check out. It's a good price point again. And I mean, it's kind of a self-contained story. You don't feel bogged down by a bunch of other things that might be happening in the Marvel universe, from what I recollect in reading it.
Yeah. Does it reference the Dennis Hopeless series?
It does enough, but not in a way that is disparaging. Like, it departs from it where she goes back to like the classic costume, but not in a way that is. It's more so like, okay, let's stand out now on our own, because if you try to copy that, you're not going to capture that same magic. Let's just tell our own story. So it has its own look, its own feel, and it's a nice steady stream of action-based comics that keep you like, again, that blockbuster television show. This is very episodic, but you got family members that are thrown into the mix that you may not have known of before, but they open story possibilities in all different types of directions for Jessica Drew. I'm always about to say Jessica Jones, but Jessica Drew, I got it.
I do. I love Jessica Drew as a character. So like,
me too.
Every time you've waved those around in front of me, those two books, I've always gone, I want to get hold of them. Because I don't read much modern Marvel, but I love Spider-Woman.
They're really good. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. Again, you got she's in space with Captain Marvel, who's her best friend, but I much prefer reading Captain Marvel stories in a Spider-Woman book for some reason. I don't like it the other way around.
You say again,
Captain Marvel, I prefer reading Captain Marvel in a
Carol.
Spider-Woman book. Yes. So she shows up in here for a storyline. There's Wundagore Mountain. There is something that is a tie-in with Null, I guess, from the Venom
King
tie-ins
in Black event. Yeah,
that sort of thing. But yeah, check it out. Spider-Woman's a surprising sort of, I don't want to say dark horse hit, because that would be a pun that I don't mean to intend.
Definitely don't intend that
she's
pun.
sort of that hidden gem, hint, that it's a good story and a good collection that kind of flies under the radar, but it shouldn't. So hopefully this gives it a little bit of shine and people will give it a shot and they like it.
Nice. Oh, the art on it looks lovely as well.
It is. It's really cool. Really good book. I like Perry Perez. Consistent.
I'm going to have to give that a sneaky peek. Hello there, Mr. Scrubs, by the way.
Hello.
Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining. Hope it's not too early in the morning.
Good morning, Mr. Scrubs. Happy New Year. Should we give him Scrubs so far? We're in our top 10 or top 20 of the year.
You can watch it later.
We can watch it. Sorry. We should.
Watch it later, Scrubs. He likes watching it later.
You're right.
Or someone could drop it in the so fars in the chat.
You could drop it in the chats. Give him what we've commented, because he's usually here, always the first.
He's normally the first one through the door.
Right.
I'm going to pick up with my number 9 for the year. Now,
okay.
I don't want it to seem like I'm choosing something because I got a freebie, because I don't work that way. But the last Comic-Con I went to this year, and probably be the last Comic-Con I go to for a little while, I met Mike Perkins. And he's the artist on, well, he was on Captain America, he's on Swamp Thing, he's done a lot of stuff with the big two. But this is a team up with him and Dan Jurgens. And I always have this thing when if someone gives me something, I just think, God, I'm not going to like it, am I? I'm not going to like it, and it's going to be really awkward. But he gave me a copy of the first issue of The Batman First Night. Here's the book. This is he didn't give me this, I got this myself. But yes, I was inspired enough by it to get the full collection. So it's
beautiful. The
Batman First Night, 3-issue Black Label series from DC Comics. It's by Jurgens and Perkins, as I said, Jurgens and Perkins. 168-page hardcover, but not like standard. It's kind of wide, kind of graphic novel size.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And what this does is it recreates the Monster Men story from Batman #1. So I don't know if you can see that. I will flash it on screen as well. But you can see that the cowl looks interesting. So it's kind of based on the way the cowl was designed when Batman first appeared.
Right.
So he's got the same coloured gloves as well, and so that there are elements that have carried forward from that. It's almost like, what if Batman was released in 1939, but had this level of art, this level of writing, and you could get away with almost swears in this, because Jurgens technically drops an F-bomb. It doesn't actually do it, but there's technically one snuck in there. Very cleverly. Slide dog. But yeah, so Monster Men has been... It was part of post-crisis continuity. Matt Wagner did a version of it. It was a 6-issue miniseries, right. I think. But this isn't that, because it's his own thing. So that there's no connection to... What was he called? Hugo Strange or anything like that. It's a mystery. This new Batman, Bat-Man, is trying to solve this mystery. So where these monster men are coming from and why high-level government people are being killed off.
Nice.
So this is him as a noob and as a detective, and it's that whole vibe. You know when it's introduced in the films and in modern comics when they do a new version of Batman, and it's like, who's this Batman guy? It's that, but it's set in that era. So you're kind of thinking, like, if you were a kid, this is how you imagine it would be in real life, you know. So, but it's got that edge and grit to it because it's Black Label.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's why also the trim.
Yes,
that's a great, good-looking book.
Really
I like
good looking
that a lot.
book. Perkins is a fantastic artist. So
that looks great.
That was a real winner for me, and I'm really hoping they do more with the Batman in the future. I don't know if they will, but I think they really should, because it works. It really works, and it'd be good to do it in these little nuggets of time. You know, whether they pick old stories and do the same thing again and modernize them weirdly while retrofying them. Is retrofying a word? Probably it is now. So it's that kind of retro modern thing, but I would happily see more. So yeah.
Nice. I haven't seen that book, I don't think, physically yet, but I'm tempted.
Yeah, it's lovely.
From the way you've described it and the way I've read other places as well. It's been getting some pretty good critical praise. Nice. This is my third, right? Or
it's
number 7?
Your number 8.
Number 8. Okay. I'm going to go with a classic, a modern day, referencing a classic character and an IP that has bounced around from publisher to publisher and has had its time at Marvel and Dark Horse, et cetera, et cetera. It's the modern day Conan the Barbarian from Jim Zub, Titan Comics. I am not usually a Conan fan.
Me either.
I'd be insincere if I was able to say this is the greatest Conan. I wouldn't know. But Jim Zub and Rocco Della Torre, let me make sure. Roberto Della Torre are tailor-made for this character. It feels like a timeless version of Conan. I mean, I could show you guys some of the artwork in here, some of these splash pages of Roberto Della Torre's art. It feels very, very much akin to the feeling you get from John Buscema. I don't know if that's a good thing for some or if they want something different, but the book feels like everything about the way this book, when you read it, it feels like you're reading a classic Conan comic, but done modern day.
Right.
But it has just enough flowery prose, the way you would expect the classic Conan comic
Like
to.
the Roy Thomas era.
In the Roy Thomas era, but then it gets into the fights and the artwork is just so beautiful. And the scenes and the cityscapes of the places that Conan travels to, it's breathtaking. And to get that sort of classic comic book feel where this could be from the 60s or it could be from 2023 or 2024, it's a very refreshing sort of thing to see a classic character with a writer like Jim Zub getting his crack at someone he loves, because he's always spoken about how much he loves like the Conan character, but now getting a chance to flush out some real cool stories. And so I read the first 12 issues that have come out for this year. And the first storyline is Roberto Della Torre. The second one is Doug Brathwaite, who does a great job. Even though you get a different artist for the next 4 stories, a perfect switch. I love Doug Brathwaite, a lot of the stuff he's done for Valiant. And then it goes back to Roberto Della Torre to continue the story. And these small little chunks, 4-issue chunks. Real classic way to tell comic book stories. If you like Conan, I've been told from Conan fans that this stuff really holds up to some of the best Conan from Conan fans. And I really enjoyed it. I don't want to say surprising because I'm not a Conan guy, but I really liked it. And just the way again, I don't have any connection to Roy Thomas and the Brian Windsor Smith or Barry Windsor Smith or the John Buscema stuff. But when you see it, when you kind of get it passes your glance, you see like these were comics that were sort of cutting edge for its time.
Sorry, I thought you said it when it passes your glands.
No, not my glands.
Stop eating your comics.
Anywho, yeah, take a look at this. This is really cool. I don't know if I showed this already.
No, that looks like Buscema. He's
Right?
really vibing off Buscema in that artwork, yeah. You know
He
it's
really
not,
is.
but you can see the inspiration.
Exactly. You know it's not, but it's paying homage in a way that isn't disrespectful. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. Actually, Omega Brez just dropped a comment that says, as a huge Conan fan, I can say that Jim Zub is doing stellar work. It's a real multi-medium approach that Titan is taking, with the Blackstone being the overarching backdrop to the stories in both the comics and the prose.
Yeah, see, I'm happy somebody who is an expert can comment on it. Because, I've read the Kurt Busiek, Dark Horse stuff with Kerry Nord.
I still
that
haven't,
got published.
but I want to.
It's great. Great comics. And this, I would continue. I would read Conan. I'd keep reading Conan if Jim Zub and Roberto Della Torre are working on it. It's highly recommended. Highly recommended.
Nice. That was a little
That's my
surprise.
number 8. Yes. Conan definitely has his charm.
Okay.
It does. Well, I'm happy Omega Bread can co-sign that pick.
Ooh. Just side note, I quickly tried to drop in for Scrubs what we talked about so far while you were talking, and it won't let me copy paste. So sorry. I'll catch up with it later, dude. Catch up with it.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. All good.
Okay. So we're going to stay in the realm of fantasy for my number 8, which is always a surprise to me because I've never been a fantasy guy. And it's only in the last year or 2 years that I've kind of veered into that territory. And that's largely because of things like Critical Role and the like that takes more of a modern approach to it. Stuff like Rat Queens as well. So it doesn't feel like that strange sort of broken English and my magic is stronger than your magic for no apparent reason kind of stuff that always put me off fantasy. But yes, this is The Hunger in the Dusk Volume 1. It's originally 6 issues with G. Willow Wilson writing and Chris Wildgoose doing the arts. It's from IDW, once more. 168 pages, paperback. And in this world, humans are more the minority. I mean, it's there's been a constant war between the humans and the orcs, and the orcs are pretty much winning. So the humans are kind of at their last numbers, in this world that they're in. But they're going to have to sort their shit out and join forces because a much bigger threat has turned up called the Vanguard, and that these things risk killing everybody. Like, if they don't sort themselves out, everyone will die. So they send a representative from the orcs with the humans on a mission, and they send one of the humans with the orcs. And it's all about how these characters interact and how the cultures interact and how they learn about the wider orc culture and stuff as well. Because it's not normally orcs are just quite throwaway, and they hit you with a stick. There's no great dialogue there. But in this, it's much more interesting. They're really fleshed out characters, and there's a world being built here. And G. Willow Wilson is really good at this kind of stuff. She's good at character work, and saw her on Ms. Marvel, and we've talked about that repeatedly in the past. I haven't read a huge amount of her other stuff outside of that, so this was at least one of the first. I've read a few bits, but it's something I stuck with at length for the whole series. Really liked it. I think it may be a trilogy of minis. I'm not sure how long it's going to go on.
What's the title again? I missed that.
So the title is The Hunger in the Dusk.
Sounds like a cool song.
Doesn't it?
The Hunger in the Dusk.
The Hunger in the Dusk.
Sounds like a metal song. Nice.
So yes, that's it's a beautiful book. I'd never seen Chris Wildgoose as an artist on anything before. It's the first time seeing his art, and it's great. It really suits the feel of the book, and not a fantasy person. And if you're not a fantasy person either, doesn't matter. Try this out, because this is all about character.
Nice. That's the key, right? Any genre could work.
Yeah, completely.
You've got good character building
and world building.
Yeah, don't dismiss a genre. I've done that in the past, and I've ended up liking a lot of books that weren't on my radar because I gave it a chance.
And it cost you more money.
That too. Are we doing a break today? Because we're not doing our usual 2 and 3, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess we passed the break time.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. We're there.
We can do it. Okay, well, it's a little bit of a switch up today. It's not technically an ad break. I'm going to very rapidly, and I promise I always I'm going to do it really quickly, and then I go, yeah, and this is when this happens. And it's really cool. And I get excited. No, so today, this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a rundown of our 10 most watched / listened to podcast episodes. Okay. So our most popular pod episodes this year were at number 10, our top 20 of 2023, part 1.
How fitting.
Not part 2. No one cares what was number 1. Number
That's
9
hilarious.
is funny, right? Number 9 is top 10 Mark Miller. Number 8, incoming September 2024. The rest of the year sucked. September, amazing. Number 7, the interview with Jeff Johns for RE Ghost Machine. Number 6, top 10 miniseries. Number 5, top 10 most wanted Image Omni / Compendium / Collector Edition chunkies. And number 4, top 10 90s X-Men. This is a big jump up though, with like the X-Men was like massive jump up from the the previous entry. Number 3, top 10 most wanted DC Omnis. Number 2, your interview with Jim Shooter.
Wow.
And number 1, top 10 most wanted Marvel omnibuses. This is.
What did that come in at?
What?
The omnibuses. The number 1. What did that come in at?
Well, how many views and listens?
Yeah.
Views on YouTube at least for 1,269.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. The Marvel omnibuses, people just love talking about what we still want.
Well,
it's crazy.
Part of that, I think, though, is because even if you're not going to buy them, you can at least pick out some good runs. What's a series worth sticking with?
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Nice. I like the way you think, Dave.
Oh, thank
All
you.
right.
Most don't.
Let's see how this top 20 of 2024 does in 2025. Trying to keep track of everything. What number are we at in the countdown?
It's your number 7, my dude.
All right. So I tried to split, because we do this in 2 parts. I tried to split these lists like similarly in like a top 5 and top 5.
Okay.
But so coming in today at my number 7 is a series that we mentioned in that episode with Jeff of something that was more a book he wanted to work on instead of what everyone thought he should do. And that's Booster Gold with Dan
Oh,
Jurgens. And this was re-released in this nice format in 2024. It had been out before in, soft cover trades, 6 issues here, 6 issues there, or some hardcovers. It was called 52 Pickup because it literally picks up after the events of New 52. And it continues, of course, with
the
Booster
52,
Gold.
52
Sorry,
issue series.
Yes. Did I say New 52?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's cool. Just in case anyone's going, what?
Yeah, no, there was, if you see on my shelf up here, can you see it right there?
It's just out of shot.
It's out of, okay. Anyways, the series 52, which was a weekly comic that Jeff had worked on when it spun out and things went back to, just regular storyline, regular schedule program, if you will. Booster Gold had a series launched, and Jeff Katz, I knew it was another Jeff, I just spelled differently, and Dan Jurgens were the writing artist teams on this Booster Gold book, which is cool because Booster is a Dan Jurgens creation, and Jeff Johns approaches the book and uses the character as a way to pay respects to the DC universe that had come before, where he puts Booster in these Ivar the Time Walker somewhat scenarios where you're going back in time and trying to make sure that you don't disrupt whatever's happened, whether it was good or bad in the timeline. Don't make sure things go the way they're supposed to go. And you kind of get, have you read this at all, Dave?
No, I meant to. I have the book, and I meant to read it.
Okay.
Partly for inclusion in this, and I totally forgot.
Okay. All good. But the premise is basically the kind of like in the Avengers Endgame, where you're trying to make sure everything goes according to what the timeline's meant to have happen. But on the way there's another fight that you're having off screen that people don't see.
Uh-huh.
Because you're in this separate time bubble, as it were. So there's a lot of moments like that with this book that are like tips of the hat to classic DC stories, but with a little spin of Booster being involved in them. Really, really fun. Really, really refreshing. I don't know how the series after this because Jeff gets off at issue 12, if memory serves. Right. But either way, hopefully they continue this Booster series. And this first volume did well enough that they'll print a volume 2 and see where it goes. But this volume 1, tons of fun. Tons and tons of fun. Check it out. I think it's a Jeff Johns kind of under the radar sort of series because it wasn't long. It wasn't a long-lasting run that he had on.
No. You're right.
Yeah, but he came in, told the story he wanted to, and it's a good one. Really, really good.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I'm really looking forward to reading it. Because I really like the character.
And just thinking of it now, it made me think of like your affection for Ivar the Time Walker. That's why I made that sort of correlation, because it's that same sort of, you're stuck in this destiny of having to travel or be, how certain things are supposed to go, but where do you stop yourself from affecting, the butterfly effect, if you will. So Booster Gold, Jeff Johns, Dan Jurgens on the art.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Nice choice, man. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm super bunged up, so give me 1 sec. I meant to mute and I didn't. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay. My number 7 for 2024 is going to be a tricky one to talk about in depth because it's the final book of a 3-book series, and they're relatively short books in the grand scheme of things because it's just 3 issues in a book. So it's book 3 of Friday. That's Christmas Time Is Here Again. It's an Ed Brubaker book. Look, see, small book. The art's by Marcos Martin. So this is originally a 9-issue series that was on the Panel Syndicate website, which is the site run by Brian K. Vaughan, writer of Saga. And you can kind of pay as much or as little as you want. That's how they run it. And you can read it in digital. But they've got a deal with Image where Image reproduce the books in print format. Some of them are widescreen, so a lot of them are printed widescreen. But like with this one, it's an upright. But it's a 3-book series. Here's the whole set. Oh, pick a book.
Cool.
Anyone you like.
Nice.
Was this your book? So it's, issue 7 and 9. 7 to 9, sorry, 128 pages. It's by, yes, Ed Brubaker and Marcos Martin. So it's a nice combination there. It's based on, I think there was, when we talked about it in another episode, I think when it was an incoming episode, it came up. And I can't remember one of the things that's the inspiration for it, but it's that kind of Nancy Drew type thing. So a lot of stuff that I never read. So I don't
Is
really...
this Encyclopedia Brown?
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, so it's a
Yeah.
mix of that, Nancy Drew, and there was something else. But it's all, like I say, it's stuff I've never read. So I don't get the references, but it doesn't matter because it's its own thing. So the main character, Friday, comes from a small town where her and her best friend used to solve mysteries. So it references a lot of the mysteries they've solved, and it kind of shows them like these kids' books and stuff. But it's all about her coming back and how they've grown up. So this isn't for kids. This is a very adult story. The language is very adult. Some of the situations become progressively more adult, and it gets scarier and scarier. And where it takes some of those, I mean, by book 2, it starts to turn into something that's more of a horror, and then by 3, I can't spoil it, but it does what I really, really wasn't expecting at all. And I'm looking at this thing going, I could see how you've had this plan from the beginning, and it means it's worth a second read at least. At least.
Cool.
So cool. I don't know if they're going to release it in a chunkier format than this. They probably will.
They have to.
I would think they would. I mean, it's Brubaker. You can't go wrong with Brubaker books, right? But it's Marcos Martin's art on this is so cool. It's so good. It's the simplicity of it, but also like there's this real heavy detail to it. So while his characters look nice and clean and simple, and it's easy to follow, there's a lot going on in these pages. You know.
Oh, I love it.
So he doesn't skimp out on that detail.
Right.
It's wonderful stuff. It's set in the snow as well, and he really uses the white panels between and uses the white as snow, and it really kind of makes it feel very claustrophobic.
Nice.
It's great stuff. Don't pass on this one. It might look a little bit weird, a little bit different, but that's what makes it great.
No, again, the creators, price of admission with just the creators is worth it. Nice.
Yeah.
I hope they put that in. That's tailor-made for a complete collection.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Has to be. Nice. I like it. All right. Put me on to something that I'll be on the lookout for now, Mr. David. My number 6, final pick for the night.
Oh, I'm a little bit sad.
Why?
Because I love doing these, and we're on number 6, man.
We got a whole other one coming up. Don't you worry. We do. We got a part 2. Again, plug to our archives. We had the writer of this book on the show this year. That's Matthew Ehrman, talking Loving Ohio. Again, this wasn't given to us for free, and we're not promoting it because the creator came on the show. It's a good book, and it's different. And it'll stand out to other things that are on the shelf, and it'll give you a... how can I put it? Like, it's got the horror element. It's got the small town element. It's got a little bit of it's not a biography in any way, shape, or form, but in talking to Matthew, if you listen to that episode, there is a certain influence from his own upbringing and some of the things he learned and was involved in as a child make their way into this story. It's about a kid living in a small town that is basically run by the cult that everybody is a part of, and how that kind of affects the friendships, relationships, the horrors of the town, the breaking out of that sort of mindset. And it's sort of like a horrified version of The Breakfast Club, John Hughes kind of storytelling with a monster in it. Check it out. It's the artwork. I'll give you an idea of what the art looks like inside. Very similar to the vibe that you get on the cover. So it's not terrifying art, but it's very
atmospheric,
sort of a surreal feeling to it. The tones of the pages also feel like you're looking back into someone's memory. Like it feels like a story that takes place in another time, based on sort of the coloring and the clothes that are worn. But it's not overly bright. Like if you notice, it's definitely colored.
It's kind of muted.
It's muted, right? To give you sort of the vibe of their... I don't know how I would describe, but you know those kind of small towns where it's like nothing's really happening, but this is where all the weird shit happens.
Yeah.
It gives you that feeling in the book.
Okay.
And again, the era of where music, because it's teenagers are the main characters, the music of that time plays a part in
Ah,
the story, which I clearly like that sort of stuff. So Matthew Ehrman, check out the interview we had with him, but also more importantly, check out Loving Ohio. It's a
yes.
really, really strong entry in 2024, and it came out in 2024.
Yes, it
So
did.
we're up
Well,
to
it's
date.
original
We're
as well,
reading
isn't
modern
it?
comics.
It's not a mini that was collected.
No,
It's a all new graphic novel in the
yeah,
truest
exactly.
sense.
Yeah, and I don't see it having any sequels or any need for a sequel. Sometimes you want those type of books where you can
Yeah,
just read a one and done 150, 160 page story and you get everything you want, like a good movie. That's okay to still have those, right?
it's
And
perfect to have those. I
that's the
miss
beauty of the
those.
medium. Yeah.
I tell
And
you what.
this yeah.
Oh, sorry, dude.
No, go ahead.
The what I was thinking as well was that interview you did was so good with him, and what was really nice about it is that it was like you were catching all these things that obviously he hadn't. A lot of other interviews probably hadn't picked up on, when you were talking about it to him, and it really that conversation alone sold me on the book.
I hope you like it.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading it.
Yeah, no, it was surprising. Not surprising, but again, I went in blind. Something you go in blind for,
Yeah.
and so I bought a copy of the book, but prior to the conversation, he sent a copy to us for us to to take a look
Oh,
at. And I genuinely liked it enough to want to get my own copy, even though we technically had one. It's a very strong story.
great.
Good stuff.
Oh,
And let's give a special shout out to Sam Beck as well, because we did talk about the artwork, and we got to shout out the artist on it because they played such an important part in how good this story is.
fantastic.
Loving Ohio.
Loving Ohio. Man, I'll tell you what I'm loving. My number
Talk to me.
6.
Talk to me.
See my little segue there? Did you see what I did? I weaved
I
it.
saw what
I
you did.
weaved it, dude.
That was a very nice weave.
Yeah. But what I ruined it. I ruined it by talking about how I weaved it. And anyway, my number 6, and the last one for tonight, is 1949. It's a trade paperback collecting the 1949 story from the Packless series by Dustin Weaver, which was an anthology series he was doing with Image Comics. But the 1949 series goes through issues 5 and 7 of that title. So Packless was launched in like 2016 or something, and then part 1 of 1949 was in issue 5, and then that was in 2017, and it just disappeared. And the series didn't pick up again with issue 6 till 2023. That's a hell of a wait for part 2 of a 3-part story. But this collects that whole story. So 1949 it's not a spoiler to say it's a time travel story. If you're not familiar with Dustin Weaver, actually, if you think about, so he has done some stuff with Jonathan Hickman, but don't hold it against him. He did the Shield series with Jonathan Hickman, which was just stunning to look at. So that was the Marvel title with Leonardo da Vinci in it, and it was like the origins of Shield, like going way back centuries. This big reveal. So initially it was like a really, really good title, and then Hickman did. But it just looks incredible. And you can see, though, obviously, like when the artist brings something to the story as well, and the artists are clearly bringing the ideas, Dustin Weaver has got plenty of ideas. He writes this series and draws it. So it's set in 1949 and in the future. And it's about someone from the future trying to solve the mystery, an unsolved mystery of who a serial killer was. They're sending their mind back in time to find out who the serial killer was and try and track him down because it was all unsolved. But it does get quite weird and it does get quite surreal, and you have to pay attention. So some of it is all about how what they do impacts the future, and there are moments where you're kind of going, what just happened there? Because you've got to be on it. It's not that it's confusing or they've done it badly. You've just got to pay attention. So it's a great book. It's just an absolute stunner of a book. But yeah, it's 1949, Dustin Weaver. If you look up those 3 key words, 1949 isn't a word, but go with it, you will find the book. It's not a massive read at however many pages. It's like something like 120 pages or something like that. But it's great. It really stuck with me. And I was just drawn to it purely for his art, just to see what it looked like, because it's so beautiful. And then the story just really worked for me. So yeah, that was my number 6 for
Pleasant
the
surprises
year.
the best.
Yeah, they really are, aren't they? It's just those little cheeky punts, cheeky punts with a P, cheeky punts that, you know, you try something out and then you go, that was a real winner. I generally tend to do that. So the reason I don't have it in my hands as well is because I've stopped buying trades. I buy them in digital, because I bought so many trades in the past where you go, yeah, and you just can't get rid of them.
You're right.
You know, so I've got no space. I can't fill my shelves with stuff that I don't necessarily want to keep. So yeah, but I may have to relent and buy this in physical, because it's just such an amazing book to look at.
Yeah, it seems like when I do buy a trade nowadays, it's to test out the series that I'm really interested in. If there's stuff that I'm like, peripherally heard about it, I'm going to check that out on digital because it's on sale. But then there's times where I cave, especially we do an incoming, and I want to be able to pick something that's for potentially an episode like this. And then you realize, oh, shit, I got to buy a bunch of these trades or stop reading at volume 3. I hope when it's done at 7, I love the whole series or whatever it is they do, like Birthright. I remember I was reading Birthright enough to say, I'll probably buy this when it's just one big collection. And 60 issues later, you hope that you like the whole series. Because there was one series this year that I bought the second half of a deluxe edition, and I was just like, it did not end the way that I had hoped for.
I think it's the same series that I felt the same about.
Yeah, probably, because I read it with the intention of it being a shoo-in for this episode, and
are we saying what
I
it
parted
is?
Ways with the whole series.
I think we can say what it is if you want to say what it is.
Yeah, we can say what it is. It's Robert Kirkman and Chris Samnee's Firepower.
Yeah,
absolutely love the first half.
Yeah,
and the second half, I just felt like they wanted the book to end. That's how it felt.
Get on with it. Just make it finish. But also prolong this
it felt like they wanted
concept for as long as you can. But also make it like it made. It was a disappointing read.
Yeah, something changed, and I don't know what it was, but it didn't conclude the way I had hoped. But hey, someone else might just absolutely love it. Yeah. So again, check it out. But there are those times where you get on and you're just like, I hope this, like Deadly Class. I waited for Deadly Class to be collected that way because I kept hearing good things over a decade of this being a really good book. And it's like, well, do I collect it in the small trades and own 20 of them? And then I'm going to buy deluxe editions?
Because the deluxes...
Yeah.
The deluxes are big. Library sized.
Yeah. And they...
So that's
but they do collect a nice chunk of books.
They do.
Yes, it is an investment as well.
Yeah, it's not cheap. So yeah, the compendium's a much better way to do it. Also, if you're watching this and you're going, hang on a minute, why aren't you including this, or this? It's because, like we said, we're going to have another episode to follow up with our 5 to 1s. But if you're watching where things are, by all means, drop in the comments. Mention in the comments what your top 10 or top 5 were. And but if you've got recommendations, to be honest, we'll take them.
Please. Absolutely. Because there's a bunch of stuff that I would have probably listed, but I didn't get a chance to read it.
Yeah,
just never had the time to. So it doesn't mean that it wouldn't be picked. It's just that I can't honestly pick it.
Yeah.
That's all. So out of the 20, 25 books from 2024 that I can pick from, I'm trying to not be too repetitive, be as diverse as we can, but also pick the ones we genuinely can say we like.
Yeah,
right? Because
otherwise, what's the point?
Otherwise, what's the point? Anything, I don't know if you want to save this for the last episode, but maybe we can do one in each if you want to. Anything that didn't quite make the list that you'd want to mention? I got a couple, so I can list one now and one for the next one, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
I've got a couple, but I can't find my list because it's on here. One second.
It's okay. I can look at mine.
So
something that...
unless we do it next time.
No, that's fine. We could do it next time. Could definitely do it next time.
Let's do it next time.
All right, let's do it next time. Well, Dave, that's our first 5 each.
Mm-hmm.
Part 1 of our part 2 special. End of 2024, top 20 of 2024. I love those episodes.
So do I.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us. I completely forgot this episode to do our come visit the Omniverse Comics guide, and we do it now.
Yeah.
Everybody that's watching on YouTube, everyone that's with us on Twitch, thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to visit omniversecomics.guide, where you get all of our previous episodes, reading orders, collector item specials, reviews, etc., etc. Best spot if you're a comic book reader and a collector. How do we get through this hobby and find our way? Dave's reading orders are the best, and our podcasts aren't too shabby.
They're doing it right, aren't they?
Right. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week.
We will be back next week. Uh-huh.
All right.
Part 2.
Part 2. See if the sequel holds up to the first one.
Sequels
Never
normally
does,
don't
but
they?
this one will.
This
one will.
This is going to be our empire.
This is Godfather Part 2 coming up. All right, Dave.
All right.
Everybody, thank you for joining us. Dave, Happy New Year. Love you, buddy.
Happy New Year, dude. Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year, everyone. All right. Bye-bye.
Laters. Bye-bye.